All right. I am Linda Deer, and this guy.
This guy over here is the wizard of all the wonderment that goes on behind the curtain.
Right. We logged into Facebook?
We are logged into Facebook.
Okay. It just says that we're not. That's why I was wondering. If we're not logged in, then it won't stream, right?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, hold on.
You're in.
Okay, and you want to make sure YouTube is kicking over there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start this out. Happy Election Day.
Happy Election Day.
The truth about the truth. What's the truth, you guys? Okay, we're not going there.
It's hard to tell the truth.
In Two Worlds with Linda Deer and Ray Hawley and the Spirit Guides. Welcome to episode number 255 of Linda's Weekly Guided Insights. A weekly gift of guidance from Linda's Spirit Guide Angels on navigating the uncertain world that you are now living in. Tonight, the guides will explain the truth about the truth. All right. Let me get my inside out. Okay, the truth about the truth. The takeaway from this week's episode is emotions will forever keep you from the truth. Here's what this will do for you. You will be able to detect the truth every time. Here's what I want you to do with it. Give yourself the opportunity, the time out, to control your emotions so you can remain open to the truth. All right, Ray. So
we should thank everybody who showed up on set.
Yeah, for our webinar. Thank you. The webinar was intense. It was really powerful. Got a lot of people, a lot of feedback. Yep. And again, it's designed to help you navigate the uncertain world that you're now living in on a more covert level. These webinars, what comes through these webinars is for your eyes only. All right. Okay. In other words, they're not ever public.
And the replay's up.
The replay is up. Okay. The replay is up on the webinar. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Okay, Ray. So we had a comment on this one today.
We did. Miss Viola.
All right. So Ray's going to read that.
Okay. Viola said, yes, great insight. I have, again, some questions for you and the guides. How can we detect the difference between emotions and feelings? Why do we sometimes confuse the two? Why do we rate emotions negatively? I remember that when I cried as a child, that was always considered something that was not good. Laughing out loud was considered not appropriate, and we, as kids, had to do everything to hide frustration and anger, with the result that when these kids grew up, they got into criminal activity or they were depressed. How can we use emotions in a positive way? I see a link between emotions and feelings. I see that emotions are a result of suppressed feelings. That's a question. Is it because emotions are a result of suppressed feelings? I'm very curious about what the guides will have to say. Linda said, great insights, Viola. The guides will speak to these questions you have in tonight's session. Watch the video replay above when it's posted tomorrow.
So rather than saying that emotions cause repressed feelings, I'd say that repressed feelings cause you to be emotional. Okay, maybe the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the difference between emotions and feelings? Emotions are a reaction to something. It's something where you react to it. Where when you have a feeling about something, you actually take a moment to go, wait a minute, or oh, when you have a feeling, an emotion, you tend to have more excitement in it, more hype in it. At the end of this insight about how it works, that's the part where I write out a little, I write out how I interpret what the guides said in this insight. And what I said was, remember, Emotions are past tense, and feelings provide present moment feedback. So, what I'm really saying there to summarize all of this is um, present moment feedback from what you feel. When you have a feeling about something, many times it catches you by surprise. You're like, wow, I didn't see that coming, or I never would have thought I would have felt, that feeling. I never put those together, where an emotion is more like you have an investment in it. You have you're not open like you are when a feeling strikes. When a feeling strikes, it catches you off guard many times. And you have to sit back and go, oh, you know, wow. Where an emotion doesn't feel like that at all. An emotion draws you in. It doesn't let you stay open. It already has a hold of you based on belief systems, based on something that happened to you earlier in your life that you continue to have a reaction to every time you're set off, causing that emotion. Okay? They're different.
Yeah, you probably carried a lot of your emotional decisions that you make later on in life. You probably carried them with you throughout your life.
Well, that's the problem. That's why so many people continue to make the same poor decisions, and they can't help it. It's a knee-jerk response. They find themselves in the situation, in the, whatever they've agreed to something that they don't even know why they did it. That's emotional energy. They didn't take the moment, the time out to let themselves feel what it is, so they could then contemplate that. We talked about that last week, so that then they can make a decision that's closer to true north. Okay.
Yeah, most of these emotional decisions, I think, are just replays of old tapes. Let's say that old records.
True.
That happen as you've listened to 100 times. If you're a child and you get attacked by a dog, okay, the next time you see a dog charging you at the dog park, it triggers that emotion.
Right. And when you trigger that emotion, everyone picks up on energy. They may not think they do, or they may not realize how that it's happening, but they do. And when that dog comes up and you perceive that dog's going to attack you, or maybe it really is going to attack you, the minute you feel the fear come through you, the pheromones, it comes out. The animal instantly connects with that, and you're sure to be attacked. It sets off an energy field that does not bring the best and highest good to you. So you really need to really get a grip on your emotions. That's where the journals come in. You write down about what that emotional energy, well, like Viola talked about, where children were heard and not seen. They were really kind of a pain in the neck for the parents. The parents were already overloaded. They were already burned out. They were working. I mean, their opportunities were slim. We're talking about like 40 years ago or 50 years ago, I don't think that's true, but a lot of people thought that was true. And they kind of just gave up on life. So when they had these kids, they were like, shut up and, figure it out. And I told you that before, don't ask me it again. They were tired. So, when that happened though, what it did to the child, what it did to Viola and her siblings was something they're still working on healing. That's that damage. That damage happens, and then it sets off emotional energy. Somebody says something to you or something happens, and you start, it's like the past is starting over again, like it's right here in the present moment, and it's just playing itself out again. And it has a hold of you. That again is why writing in your journal is absolutely critical. You will not have a clear thought. You will not be conscious. You will not make the best decisions. You will keep making the same decisions that keep you where you are until you follow And I'm going to just use part 3. I'm not even going to go into part 2, where you go back and heal the issues, the course correction training. This is the consciousness training. This is where you write in your journal 15 minutes every day. And in this journal, it's just filled with 2 pages for your journal entries to flush out what is really true, what is really going on. You can't see it when you're in it. You've got to write it down, because you're, like Ray said, your past habits, your knee-jerk reactions, all emotional energy keeps a hold of you. It keeps you from clearing this up and healing it, so you can really get on with your life. Otherwise, you just keep on. You're stuck. You keep repeating the same decisions, the same poor decisions. You're running on fear, like you were programmed to live on fear. You were programmed to respond to it. This starts to break that all down, okay, until you have your life back.
Yeah, the last sentence in today's
I read it.
insight, I mean, it sums it all up.
It does. It really does.
Emotions are past tense. I mean, if a dog attacked you when you were a kid, that's past tense.
You're drawing off previous experience.
Right.
And it doesn't mean it's true. Sometimes what you are pulling off of from previous experience is absolutely right. Sometimes it is. You're going to know by the way it feels. You can't go by the emotion. You cannot trust the emotion. You can trust how you feel about it if you leave it alone, if you give it time. What did I say in the beginning of this? The takeaways on this. I said, you will be able to detect. I said, first of all, I said, emotions will forever keep you from the truth. Absolutely. You will be able to detect the truth every time from this insight. Now, this insight is the front page, the back page, and this page. So we're hardly talking about any of it. I only talked about the 3 openers here. And then, so you really do need to get these insights to know what we're talking about in depth. About what the guides talked about. And then the third one is give yourself the opportunity, the time out to control your emotions. Time enough to decompress, breathe, so you can remain open to the truth. That's not emotional energy. That's being calm. So the truth can reach you. But the truth cannot reach you when you're all jacked up with emotional energy. You're invested in something back there that keeps you frozen in time. Okay.
The same example. As a child, you were attacked by a dog. Now you're an adult. You're at the dog park, and you see this dog on the other side of the park.
If you feel
running towards you,
if you have that emotional energy where it's gonna attack you,
right?
It perceives your energy.
But you have the amount of time from when the dog sees you and starts running until it gets all the way across the park. You have time to make a different decision. You have time to make a decision based on your feelings. That would be a different outcome than the emotional decision.
Okay, now, if you've been traumatized by getting bit by a dog or some trauma about a dog, in the instant that you experience that 20 years later or something, if you haven't worked on this concept about emotions versus feelings, if you haven't done the work, if you haven't done the inner work, 15 minutes a day is nothing, you guys, to invest in yourself. This is an investment in you, to keep tabs on what's going on with you. So you become, this is the roadmap to consciousness. So you become aware of yourself and how emotions have controlled you in the past. If you haven't done that work, and then you have something come up 20 years, 30 years later, and a dog's attacking you, you see a dog coming at you, you will not be able to control your emotions. Absolutely, will have no control over it. You can say, well, in that moment, if it does happen, in that moment when it happens, I'll just deal with it. Like I'll get real with myself, and I'll just go to my feelings. I won't be emotional. Oh yes, you will. Yeah, you haven't done the work. So you will definitely knee-jerk response. The first thing you're going to feel is an emotion that triggers that dog, because that dog is very telepathic, picks right up on your energy, and you're going down. So any person also picks up on that energy. They may not realize that's what it is, but they can size you right up because you haven't done the inner work. You haven't healed this stuff. Okay. Let's say you're in a relationship. You're just dating somebody. You're going out with somebody, and you have this fear that they're going to cheat on you. I don't know, something like that. And you can't help it. The way you look at them, you kind of look at them like, ooh, they can feel that energy, you guys. And that's past hurt. That's a reaction from an emotion that you've got your guard up. Now when you've got your guard up, feelings cannot reach you. You cannot be open to the present moment because you're already invested in the past and you're frozen in time. The only way you guys are going to get a handle on your life is by doing this simple little task each day. 4 qualifying questions in each journal entry. This is how you're going to do it. This works. Okay.
Okay, same example you just gave. You're in a relationship, and prior relationships, the person always cheated on you. So now you're going into this relationship with an expectation. Because all you know is, well, they all cheated on me.
Right.
So your expectation is, well, this person's going to cheat on me too.
You can't help it.
And that's kind of driven, I guess, by protecting your ego or by your ego.
I'm going to tell a little story. In Guided, my first husband cheated on me. And I was devastated. I mean, I don't know. It was my first marriage. I mean, I was all in, on the thing. And so when I found out about it, it was just like really disappointing. And my guides come through. I'm driving down to get another building permit. I was finishing up a subdivision I was building. And on my way into the city to get the building permit, guidance came through and said this exact thing. This cleans it all up. This gets rid of the emotion. This is present moment information. I must have been open for a moment, because like when you drive in a car or you're in the shower, you have those, you're kind of in a different world, and that's when they can reach you. So in that little crevice of openness, they slipped it in and caught me in that moment where I was open. And they said, he didn't cheat on you. He cheated on himself. In an instant, I no longer took it personally. I was no longer emotionally invested in what he did. I didn't do that. He did that. Okay. So he cheated on himself. He's got to live with it. That's really what it's saying. And I didn't do anything wrong. It's not my fault that he did that. It wouldn't matter who he was married to. He would have cheated on them too. It's a personality trait. It's damage that he carries forward into relationships. Happened to be our relationship. And so it was very clear. Don't take things personally. That will keep you from being emotional, you guys. You got to cut that out. When you start writing in your journal, you're going to see where you're taking stuff personally, and you'll stop doing it. But you won't do it until you see it on the pages. You won't do it until you get it out of here and you put it on the pages. And then you ask yourself the other 3 questions. How does it feel? There it is. How does it feel? What do you realize? You will have a realization when you realize how that made you feel, in instant one. And only then will you be able to will you have the capacity to take action. And I'm not talking about making a decision you've made in the past. That's the same old decision that's going to cause you to have emotional energy that's going to take you down the same road. No, when they told me that he didn't cheat on you, Linda, he cheated on himself. I was like, got that. I've got that. Don't take it personally. It's not my stuff. Okay. So emotional energy, many times you take on other people's shame. You take on what they're hiding. You take on their lies. You take on their hurt. You take on all kinds of stuff. That's not real. That's just projecting stuff on you that you absorb. Okay. That's far from not taking things personally and letting yourself be open so you can receive the feeling that's true. That's the truth. Okay. That's the difference between emotional energy. It's all garbled up with past tense. That's really the only way to say it.
Here's a good example of that.
Yeah.
And I guess when I thought of this, I thought to myself, well, maybe all emotional decisions aren't bad because, Viola said, people tend to treat emotional decisions negatively. Okay. Before you and I met, I traveled a lot.
Yeah, you did, Ray.
And I've been in 3 hotel fires. Most people have never been in one. I've been in 3, so you don't want to travel on the road with me. Okay, so the first one was kind of a new experience. You're running down from like 30 floors down the steps at 2 a.m.
In your bathrobe,
or whatever you had on in your duck suit, your duck pajamas. Who knows? Okay. Yeah. Anyway. That's the first thing you do is shut the elevators off. So, and everybody's standing out. This was in Chicago. Everybody's standing out in the cold in the fall.
Yeah.
On the sidewalk. Okay. Now, so that's your first experience with a hotel fire. Now there's 2 more. So what did I do in the second and the third one? I immediately, when I heard that alarm go off, it's emotional.
Okay. Now he had his first experience.
Right.
Okay. The second time, it was emotional.
Right. It was emotional.
He was running. You know what he was doing? He was running on fear.
Right. That was the feeling, fear.
Emotions will draw fear right out of you. If feelings draw fear out of you, it's justified. It's absolutely true. See, emotions don't tell you the truth. Feelings tell you the truth. They're different.
Yeah. So I got to the point after
he didn't take the moment to get present, to let the feeling come through that gave him the information, the truth. Instead, what Ray's saying is he reacted to the situation by feeling the fear and the emotional energies kicked in.
From the last one.
Right.
So, but I did take action with thinking about how did that make me feel? How did that first experience of being in a hotel fire, how did that make me feel? It changed the way I traveled and stayed in hotels. What happened was every time I'd stay in a hotel. He was
better prepared.
Well, every time I stayed, in a hotel, no matter where it was or how many floors or whatever, the first thing I do after I brought all my luggage in and hung up my duck pajamas, I would walk up and down the hallway to see where the escape routes were. Where were the stairs? The escape route.
So even though you got emotional the next time when it happened, Ray took it half the way.
Right.
He took the first experience and analyzed it and got and felt what he would do next time. He ran it by himself like role playing. He felt what it would be like and how he would be prepared. Until then, he wasn't even thinking about any of this. He wasn't prepared for anything.
Yeah, the emotional
he just showed up.
Involved thinking.
Yeah, but why did you get emotional the second time when you had already been prepared? Why?
Because you're kind of jolted out of your sleep.
Okay, so here it is. I'm going to at that point in Ray's life, he wasn't conscious like he is now. He wasn't aware of all these things like he is now. Ray wouldn't react like that now. Well, maybe he would a little bit. He does actually. I mean, when something happens in our life, and I'll tell on ourselves a little bit here, and something comes up that's really challenging and it's maybe even threatening, Ray will always just go, Linda, what the hell do we do? I go, okay, Ray. He goes, what are we going to do? What, right? You react. Yeah. He still does it. It's hard to get a grip on this.
It's an emotional reaction.
It's not. And I just tell Ray, what do I tell you? Well, give me an example of, I've told you many things different ways. What do I tell you? I tell you, chill, Ray.
Right.
Just cut it out. Just breathe. Let me have it. I will take it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it later on tonight. Let it sit. Don't jump all over that thing. Don't pretend that you have the capacity to make a really good decision around it when you're acting like this, when you're reacting like this. All right. And I mean it. Do I ever react and go, oh my God, do I ever do it?
No.
I don't, because I learned it, you guys, as a kid. I learned it from these light beings, these spirit guides of mine. They were always there. They were always steady. And from the first time I met them physically at 20 months old, I got it. Okay, don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. And at any time I did along the way, they could reach me, and they'd say a one-liner to me, and I'd go, I got this thing. Oh my God, because I took the moment, the time out. When I say the time out, I mean it. You have to, in this insight, in the third, here's what I want you to do with this information. Give yourself the opportunity, the time out, to control your emotions so you remain open to the truth. Just that little sliver. You can be emotional and then have that moment where you go, no, I'm not going to buy into that again. I'm not going to let it have me. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to release it. I'm going to let it come to me. I'm not going to chase it and demand that I have the answer right now. That will get you in trouble. Okay.
So what I'm gathering from what we've talked about is the difference between making an emotional decision and a decision on your feelings. Well, first of all, they're two different places. You make these emotional decisions with your head.
Right.
You make
exactly.
You make the present moment feelings decision from your heart.
You do.
You make a lot of bad emotional decisions, urgent decisions, quick decisions, the ones that you second guess later on or wish you hadn't made with your head.
Right.
Rather than,
by the way, greed comes from your head.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't come from your heart. Your heart will never rip you off like that.
So the difference between the two decisions is that the emotional one cuts out the research process.
Right.
Of how you feel.
You jump to conclusions.
There you go.
If you do that, you're in emotional energy. Grab a hold of yourself. Say, self. Chill. Breathe. Stop. Time out. Write it down. Start with this. You guys, this is your lifeline to getting your life back. This is your lifeline to consciousness. There's no fear in this. When you write it down, you're either way you're reporting back to yourself. You're logging what's going on. Okay. And if it's an emotional experience you had, write it down so you catch yourself doing it. If you don't write it down and report back to yourself, in other words, have something written down where you can review it later. You go, okay, you look at it a month from now. I'm doing better now. I didn't just jump on that situation that happened yesterday. I didn't do it because I caught myself. I reported back to myself. I've got a way to measure myself, how I'm doing. That's why I didn't fall back into that. You guys, it's a knee-jerk reaction. You're used to just doing that, and you don't. It's not your fault. It is not your fault, but it is your job to see it, write it down, and review it later. Keep it in chronological order. Do this writing each day for 15 minutes a day. Answer those 4 qualifying questions. And you guys, if you do this just for 1 month, in 1 month, every day, and then you go back and you review what you wrote. You breeze through it and you glean what you wrote. You're going to see it's the story of your life. You're going to see yourself like you've never seen yourself before. You really are. You're going to become present. You're going to become in control of yourself. Okay? You're not going to suffer like you have in the past. It isn't possible.
So the person that has these relationships that everybody's cheated on them, and they go into the new one and they have an expectation that, well, this person's going to cheat on me too, needs to stop and do some research and ask themselves, how does that make me feel that I'm expecting them to cheat on me? How does that make me feel? How does it make me feel if I changed my expectation to, this is the person who would never cheat on me? I mean, how do you, that really affects your decision of how you interact with that person.
Okay, here's what I would do if I hadn't had the information yet that I did on myself. I haven't done the work yet that allows me to know what the truth is, so I can trust myself. All right, you're not there yet. What I would do is the research I would do is I would research the person that I'm dating. I would if I had that, to determine if it was an emotional energy or if it was a feeling about that person. I'd research them, and then I'd write that down. Here's what I felt. Here's what I wrote down. And here's how I researched it. I went out and I found out more about him. Maybe it wasn't emotional energy. Maybe it was the truth. Maybe it came from my feeling and it was the truth. I need to, on either way, what Ray said, you need to research it. You can research yourself by writing it down, but go out and research who that person is. Don't just dive into a relationship because you feel a little pitter patter. You guys, I mean, you've got to do your own due diligence. That applies to relationships as much as it does to business or anything else. All right. That's just common sense. If you don't do that, then you're really, I mean, once you start doing this, you're going to do that naturally. And it won't be an insult to the person. It's practicing. What's the difference between your emotional energy? Is it interfering with your better decision making? And what is really my feelings? You're not going to know it until you start writing it down each day. So you can begin to, this is a process in getting to know you. You are the one that you don't know. That's why you don't know what to trust. That's why you don't know if you can trust an emotion or a feeling. You don't know the difference between the two. That's why you don't know you.
Both of them could end up with a negative outcome. One's not always good and one's not always bad. Like the person you think you expect them to cheat on you, that would be a negative outcome. But you could also spend time researching that person. Okay, get on the internet, whatever.
Yeah.
And find out that her last 3 husbands died in mysterious ways. Right? But you did your research, and now you're making an informed decision.
If you don't do your research, here's why you don't do it. It's because you don't want to know.
You don't. That's exactly right. You don't want to find out.
You're emotionally pulled in.
Right.
And you want it the way you want it. You want it to work. You don't want to hear anything else.
You don't want to hear anything bad.
Yeah.
You're in that infatuation stage of the relationship where neither one of you has their real face on.
You've been alone for 20 years.
There you go.
And truthfully, if you were to write this in your journal, you're desperate. Write it down so you can see it on the pages, so you can make sure you don't fall into a trap because you have this one insecurity. That's it, you guys. Face yourself. Find out who this is. Who are you? You have to take that responsibility. And then you guys, honestly, not only are you not going to be pulled into this kind of stuff, you're going to be happy. You're going to have a happy life. You won't be desperate. You won't be, insecure. You just won't be. You'll know who you are. Okay. You can trust who that is.
With relationships, people usually have all of these expectations. He has to be so tall. He has to have a good job. He has to be financially. It's like these people who want to buy a purebred dog. Got to have papers. The dog's got to have papers. It's got to be this breed or that breed, and weigh so much and such, and look like this and this color. And they get down. They can't find that perfect dog. And what happens? Some little mutt shows up on their doorstep. and they fall in love.
The point is that Ray's talking about is you can't chase it.
Right.
If you're chasing it, you're emotional. You're not open to the truth. You want what you want. Okay. You can't chase it, you guys. You've got to be patient. You've got to use your time well instead of chasing something that doesn't belong to you. Okay. Or that you don't deserve. And I mean something that, where somebody's not nice. You don't deserve that in your life. Okay. You deserve somebody nice. All right. Start doing your own research on yourself. This is how you're going to do it.
Don't get desperate.
Well,
you've been alone for 20 years, like you said.
You can't say for someone not to get desperate. If you're desperate, you're already desperate.
You're already
going
there. Down the wrong road.
You're there. Okay.
I was, alone for what? They said alone for 20 years. I was alone for 2 weeks before I met you. I was at the end of my rope there.
Okay. Really, the story is in part 4 of Guided, how it really happened, you guys.
It was the most miserable 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with it, Ray. That was your own problem.
That's why I proposed to you in the first 10 minutes.
No, that's not why, Ray. You show up for Saturday, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be reading from Guided. All right. And I am into part 4 of Guided now. So you guys, if you want to show up, I'll read about it right here. Okay. So, we're going to close the session with the guide's closing message about tonight's insight, the truth about the truth. Got a hair hanging down. Okay. So join us next week, November 10th, for episode number 256 with me, Ray, and my spirit guides at 6 p.m. Pacific time on my Facebook page, Facebook timeline, and my YouTube channel. Use the search term Linda Deer. In Linda's weekly guided insights, my spirit guides will be talking about find your heart and you will find your way. People don't really think much about their heart. They take it for granted. It's in there a little off center and constantly beating. In fact, people may not even notice their heart until it stops working or there's a problem. We will tell you that your heart energy field is much stronger and greater than anything else in the body. It's the heart energy that allows you to connect to other souls. In fact, it fuels the soul. This heart energy is what you take with you when you are released from this world. You don't take all this stuff, okay? You take what you learned. You take what you became as a result of a lifetime, and you've had many. Last Saturday was our webinar, The Light Beings, Post-Election Chaos. You can get the replay on my website when you go to lindadeer.com, right there, and click on Live Events and Webinars. Take you right to the webinars. Okay, this Saturday, November 7th at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I will be reading from chapter 25 of Guided. Watch live on my Facebook page, my Facebook timeline, and my YouTube channel using the search term Linda Deer. All right. And we're going to close the session tonight. And if my work has changed your life in any way, share it with your friends. Tell your friends about my books and these live events and the webinars and everything that we do. Okay, you can find it right on my homepage. There you go, that breath. Always breathe when you need clarity. Always breathe when you need a time out. You deserve that. The truth about the truth.
Stop being in a rush. When you are chasing anything, you are not allowing your life to unfold naturally. Chasing is the opposite of allowing. Just like emotional decisions are the opposite of feeling decisions. Chasing means you are expending energy. Allowing means that you are drawing in energy. You have to be in the present moment in order to allow. When you are chasing things, you are somewhere out in the future.
Right. You're somewhere else. You're not present. Anything that you have control over in your life only happens in the present moment. It's all there is. Everything that is in the future is anticipation. Everything that happened in the past is over. But when we worry about the future, or we drag along the past and keep making decisions and reacting based on what happened in the past over and over and over again, that's a form of insanity, you guys. Okay.
It's a mental illness.
Cut that out. Cut that out. And how are you going to cut it out? Easily. You don't need a shrink. You don't need, a guru. You need to start having these visits with yourself. That's what you need to do. That's all you need to do. Get to know who that is. All right. And when you know who that is, you've got this whole thing figured out, you guys. You're going to be calmer. You're going to know what to do and when to do it every single time. Don't panic. Stop letting this life scare you.
That's right.
Okay.
It's called self-realization for a reason.
It is, Ray. It is.
Self-realization.
Yeah, it really is. Right. Ray's
And
right.
once you start writing down
You're going to
what
love
you're feeling,
you're going to love it.
you will.
Yeah.
In fact, everybody who's doing it, and we've taught hundreds and hundreds of people through the courses, and there's 18 videos they can follow on your website. They love it.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them
my
do
God.
it for an hour a day.
Yeah. I know,
But,
Ray.
Yeah,
Pretty soon, 15 minutes.
it's not enough.
You find yourself, really doing some good writing, you guys. I'm not talking about spelling. Don't worry about the spelling.
No.
Don't take yourself down that road. If you don't know how to spell a word, just, write it in there how you're going to know what you meant to say. And don't be so critical of yourself. Stop beating yourself up. Okay.
You can't be a critic and a writer at the same time.
Yeah, that's really crazy. All right.
Some writers who are authors and they spend so much time criticizing what they do, it takes them 10 years to write a book.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
How long did it take you to write Guided?
It took me 4.5 months.
4.5 months. One day your guide said, sit down, start typing?
It was even more subtle than that. I just sat down and started typing. And by the time, this is real present moment stuff, you guys. By the time I was on chapter 9, I went, this is the book they told me I was going to write 20 years ago. 20 years ago. I published Guided in 2014. In 1994 is when they first came through and told me I was going to write this book. But, I wasn't ready yet. The rest of the details hadn't shown up. Something wasn't quite aligned yet. But the moment it was, it's so subtle, but so powerful. I just had this attend to what enters your present moments. What I did is I attended to what entered my present moment. And it was a simple act of sitting down and starting to type. And I started writing the story of my life. And I'm going, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm just going to stay with it because there's something here. I mean, I didn't think about doing it. I didn't even plan on doing it. I never talked to you about doing it. I never said a word.
You wouldn't even tell me what you're writing about.
No, I never. They told me, don't do that. Don't interrupt your present moment and have anyone involved in it. And you guys, by the 9th chapter, I just went, there it is. Here it goes. Here it goes. I know this is the right thing to. I know it so much because of all the times they came through and led me that way. I didn't chase it. It found me. That's present moment stuff. And when you move on your present moment, what happens in your life is way better than anything that you had planned. I mean it.
Right.
It's way better. I mean, I'm still like, I'm constantly sitting back going, wow, okay, it's fun. You guys, your life becomes fun, okay? So get your journal. Start writing in your journal every day, please. Okay.
Allow your life to happen.
Yeah, it's
chase
been waiting for you to be ready.
Right. It'll show up when you're ready.
Yeah.
But as long as you're chasing it, you're
in the way.
You're like the little hamster in the cage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Running on the wheel. Okay. Check out the replay of the webinar.
It's right on my homepage, you guys. Just you'll see it right there.
Post-election chaos.
Post-election chaos.
Right.
Yeah. You can even put it in the term and it'll show right up on the website. Okay.
I'm going to go watch post-election chaos on TV.
Have a great night.
Good night, everybody.
We'll see you this week, 1 o'clock
Or
Pacific time.